Okay, let's do this thing. I'm Chronix from the most extreme wrestling, and this is your AEW Dynamite review for December 9th, 2020. Last night on Impact, didn't think I would be here talking about Impact, but I did watch Impact last night. It was a big night because, well, Kenny Omega, he's the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, and he was going to make an appearance with Don Callis, bringing his championship with him. So I checked that out, and wow, they had the best in-bus promo I've ever seen. That was actually some good stuff. Little bit of advertisement for their show for AEW, and got some crazy numbers watching AEW fans coming over, or just wrestling fans in general, I suppose, coming over and checking out Impact Wrestling. I know it had been a long time since I'd seen one of their shows all the way through, and I watched it all the way to the main event so I could see that interview, and it was worth it. Good building there, good advertisement for them. Good little publicity stunt, I guess you will, if you will. But tonight, it's going to be Sting. He's going to be speaking. We're going to have Shaq. And yeah, this show is absolutely stacked. And not to mention the Inner Circle. It's the ultimatum. Is the Inner Circle going to break up? Are they going to get over their differences? What are they going to do? Well, we're going to get to it, because first we got the Young Bucks. They are the AEW Tag Team Champions, and they're taking on the Hybrid 2. This is not for the championships. However, if the Hybrid 2 wins, well, they will get a title shot someday. They'll get their shot. And you know, really, they should. Whether it was an official rule or not, that seemed to be the gist of what they were dropping down there on commentary. But while Hybrid 2 were making their entrances, you know, of course, we're going to get the Young Bucks entrances. I mean, they are the champions. They came out first. The Hybrid 2, over their entrance was a recap on the Acclaimed tag team. The Bucks had a pre-recorded interview where they talked about the fact that they hadn't talked to Kenny Omega, so they don't really have anything to say about what happened on Impact or what has happened recently on the show. So we don't know yet. We're gonna have to find out later if they knew about this grand plan of Kenny Omega to join with Don Callis. Do the Young Bucks have anything to do with this? Do they know? Well, they say that they haven't talked to him. But do we believe them? Well, they haven't on screen on the show here on AEW Dynamite. They haven't really been that close. But here in this match, this was the Hybrid 2 jumping the Young Bucks before the bell even rang here. This match was loaded with double team moves. Of course, your high-flying action. Jack Evans getting tossed into Acclaimed watching ringside. And Matt, after jumping around the ring like a spring the entire match, he eventually, it's too much for his leg, for his ankle there, as it begins to hurt him. And Angelico puts him in that death roll, which we know is a very dangerous move because it's making dudes tap here in AEW. And yeah, he is holding it on for ages and ages, but Nick comes in and breaks it up with like an old school Jeff Hardy swan dive, right? And Matt, I don't know how he survived this match for so long without tapping out, but somehow he did for at least this long. They got an Indie Taker on the outside of Jack Evans, double kick inside of the ring on Angelico, and a BT trigger. Why not? And Nick gets the win. It's a very exciting match. I wish there was less near falls, but dude, you want to start off the show? Want to start it off strong? They're doing it. And this show is going to keep rolling on too, because this show was packed. Not only did you have so many matches, so many segments that were built up and people were ready to see. Very excited to finally get to see Sting talk and get to hear what Shaq has to say. What are they going to do with this in the Inner Circle? So AEW's been doing fantastic recently, getting things set up. And that's one thing that I really got to give them a lot of props on there. Now, the Acclaimed ringside after this tag match try to jump inside of the ring and attack the Young Bucks, I suppose. But SCU somehow, even though they were in the back, intercept the Acclaimed before the Acclaimed can get to the ring. So I don't know where they were, but they were ready. They were launched. It must have been like a downward, they were like going down, get downhill or something, because boy, they showed up so quickly. I don't know how they did it. It was impressive, to say the least. MJF gets a very short promo here. He's got Wardlow on his side and basically saying he's pumped up for tonight's match. He's going to be in the main event for that Dynamite Diamond Ring. Get a black and white video right here. It's Darby Allin. He's got a psychologist, a psychiatrist, I'm not exactly sure, showing him photos of Team Taz, a very creative way for Darby Allin to continue his business. Always big thumbs up from me on that. Now, inside of the ring, we got Cody Rhodes. He's got his warm business jacket on while the TNT champion, Darby Allin, is watching on from the rafters. Well, Tony Schiavone is in the ring and asks Cody about his thoughts. And hold up, wait a second, lights go out, it's snowing. We got the winner on the screen. It's Sting coming down. So we're going to get to hear from Sting maybe quicker than we had originally thought. Arn gets close to Sting, not to attack him, not to say anything bad, but basically just to be like, I had to see it in person. I had to see it with my own eyes. So that was cool. It made Sting feel even more important than he is here in AEW. And Cody steps back. He's still got his microphone, but he steps back and allows Sting to have his spot, which is smart. And Sting gives, I put Stang, but Sting gives Tony Schiavone a big old hug. Back here on TNT with Sting and Tony Schiavone, that's really cool to see. Sting says he is not here for Cody, and he's here for he's got this familiar feeling. He's looking out to the rafters and he's seeing Darby out there, and he's basically starting his path. He's looking at Darby over there, and he says nothing's for sure, but what is for sure that he's going to be in AEW for a long time. I think that's great. What is Sting going to be doing after he faces somebody like Darby Allin? Is he going to be going against random people in tag matches? I sure hope not. Is he going to be in trio matches? I don't think so. I know a lot of people are concerned about, are they going to do too much? Are they going to have him in too many matches? But honestly, I don't see that being the case here in AEW. I feel that they are going to do him right. They're going to keep him in matches that are important, and they're going to be putting over the talent that they should. So I wouldn't be too worried in that aspect, but for sure, if they're going to keep somebody as a legend like Sting around for what has to be his last real run in a wrestling company, in a major company, they have to do him right. And I do believe that they will do him right here in this show. So we got Team Taz, and Team Taz is cutting a promo, and we see a new member. I thought, wait, who is this? Oh yeah, that's Taz's son, Hook, which we haven't really seen. The last time we saw him on this show, he was running away with the championship, so we didn't really, get a good visual of his face. He's got a hoodie on and everything, so, hey, man, it's cold outside. I got my hoodie on right here. You got to do what you got to do. I love the way this looked, the colors. You had like the orange colors in the background. It just looked nice. It was framed nice. Everybody looked good. It was very professional looking. So I got to give them that. Big fan of that. And you know what? Cage is a big fan of Canyon because he says, who better? And that's actually a fact. I'm not making a joke. FTR is with Tully Blanchard taking on the Varsity Blondes of Brian Pillman Jr. and L. Griff Garrison over there. This was a solid, high-energy match. I wish they would do more with Brian Pillman Jr. That's what I've been thinking for so long here in AEW. That seems to be the case. Seems to be what they're doing. he's in a tag team. So that means, hopefully, that they got plans for him. They're going to do things with him. I see him as being as a good talent, and I hope to see more of it here. But FTR gets the win. Does this mean that FTR is going to be back in title contention? They sure seem to think so. But they really, in my eyes, are going to have to do quite a lot to build FTR back into a spot where they are going to be a credible tag team, a believable tag team to challenge for the championships again, because, man, they kind of killed those guys quite a bit. Backstage, you got Hangman Page. He's having a drink, and Alex Reynolds and John Silver pop up. They got cowboy hats on. They do their little silly ha-ha. I don't understand. I don't really get why Dark Order members would be so goofy, but they seem to be having fun. I don't know. But whether it was silly or not, they convinced Hangman Page to be in a tag team, in a 3-on-3 tag team coming up in, I guess, next week is what it was. So has Hangman Page joined not the inner circle, but joined the Dark Order? Well, no. But, hey, Alex Reynolds, John Silver, they can dream, can't they? But yeah, that's probably not going to happen. It's not going to be a thing that continues to happen. But I know for sure next week that we're going to have even more 3-on-3 matches. So it brings into question once again, is AEW really going to do a trios title? They're talking about doing another show. That's probably where they would put it. I don't think they should, but hey, man, if half your matches are trios matches, you might as well, right? People got to get paid, I'm guessing. So next up, we got Dustin Rhodes looking fantastic with Lee Johnson, who is one of the Nightmare Family guys, versus 10 of the Dark Order. The Dark Order come down for the entrance, and yeah, the dude in the crowd, what was his name? Aaron Solo? He tries to grab 10, but gets booted right in the face. I think it's kind of funny that they have wrestlers on the outside who are so hungry to get involved in the action that they will attack wrestlers in the ring. Obviously, something you can't do when fans are there, or at least the fans themselves can't do that. But I think it's okay to, if visually attacking people in the crowd, it looks kind of cool. That's definitely something you can't do when you have nothing but fans in the front row, unless you have an obvious plant. So I kind of like the idea that you have all these guys and girls on the outside just ready and willing to get in the ring and get involved in the action no matter what the cost is. But yeah, Dustin Rhodes gets the win. Evil Uno comes down. He's got white socks on in his suit, and you can see his little boxers as well. He says that Dustin Rhodes is the third most important Rhodes in the family. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I know he didn't bring up his dad, like, by his name, but he still invoked his name. So that's a disrespect right there. And saying he's, the least important. It's kind of hard to say that any of those guys are the least important because, well, Cody Rhodes is building his legacy right now. And Dustin Rhodes has done so much. And I guess you could say, well, he's won less championships, or, he won't ever be a world champion in AEW or in WWE or whatever the case. But it's just disrespectful, man. It just really is. And he says you should join the Dark Order and you should be 7. Yes, 7 like in WCW. Yikes. That's another disrespect. You're basically, this man, that was like one of his lowest points, right? At least around that time when he was having alcohol problems, all this, that, and the other in real life. And then to just be like, come on and join as your worst gimmick. Was it his worst gimmick? It was circling the bottom, I think. So, yeah, he don't like this. He does not accept. He does not join the Dark Order, and he slaps Evil Uno. He slaps the fake teeth right off of Evil Uno's mask. And now we have Tony. Tony is interviewing Brandy. She has her arm in a sling, and Shaq is there as well. Brandy is introduced as the chief brand officer or brandy officer. And Tony is very excited for Shaq, gives him, a grand, introduction. And Brandy gets offended at this. She's like, you gave him such a glowing introduction and then you don't give me anything. And I'm thinking, dude, it's Shaq and you're Brandy. Come on now. So Brandy, this is the thing. If you want Brandy to be sympathetic and you want to hate Jade Cargill, then why did they do it like that? But then I'm like, well, people are going to love Shaq. So are they trying to, is Brandy the heel? And then Jade that doesn't make sense. What? It's weird. I wish they would not, but I'm not saying this is a bad segment. I was just confused at the direction. Who are you trying to establish as likable, dislikable in this segment? Shaq says he's excited about Jade. He was not into the fact that her arm got broke. He wasn't necessarily apologetic per se, but yeah, he didn't agree with what happened. And Shaq wants Brandy to fight with Jade. Shaq says that Brandy should take pointers while she's injured from Jade. And of course, Brandy, she gets offended. I can understand why she would be offended, I guess. I mean, Brandy is a wrestler. She's wrestled longer. She's had more matches. But haven't most of those matches been in AEW where she kind of inserted herself in there? It's not like she's a long-term established wrestler who's won championships or at least been in the picture for it at some point. No, but Brandy, she's offended. She gets a glass of water and splashes it right in Shaq's face as she stomps off. And it was just the visual of Shaq, just with the water on his face, just looking at the camera it made me laugh. That dude, he's funny. I really like Shaq, and it's cool to see him here. Cool to see him in this segment and where this is going to lead to. I think that this is important. I think that this is something that should be highlighted in their company. I mean, you got Shaq. He's a big deal. I mean, more people know who Shaq is than 90% of your roster. So, hey, you want to get those retweets on ESPN? Well, you're going to have to do more stuff like this. Get known. Get big. And you get big by sometimes using celebrities. Now, I understand WWE, they went over the top with theirs. But, hey, a good balance. Okay, it's Jericho with the Inner Circle. It's the ultimatum time. I've been having this idea that MJF is eventually going to take over the Inner Circle and just oust MJF, convince everybody in the group that he really is a better leader. Kind of like the Nation of Domination, but done better overall, I guess you could say. That would be my hope. Now, what's actually going to happen, that's something else. Jericho says this could be the last time. MJF interrupts and says, hey, I'm the issue. I chose to join the group. I want to be a part of the group. MJF says that he loves Sammy. I'm like, what? Sammy says, shut up. He brings up the towel, and MJF says, look, it was a misunderstanding. I was trying to get the sweat. Ortiz says, look, you and MJF, you're liars, whatever. Hey, look, y'all are assets, and MJF is growing on him. So, I'm like, these things are starting to fall in place a little bit. Ortiz likes him. You got to convince Sammy to like him. Now, they do convince Sammy to shake MJF's hand. Sammy says that he trusts Jericho, but if anything else happens in the Inner Circle, he's going to leave. So if they do it the way I hope they would do it, eventually Sammy Guevara will be convinced that MJF is a better leader, and all the problems that he has faced in the Inner Circle was because of Jericho. So, hey, but yeah, Jake Hager and Wardlow, they argue, look at each other like they're stepbrothers. Jericho says, hey, we're all together now. And MJF brings out how Cassidy's going to beat Jericho. Jericho cuts him off, brings everybody together like, hey, let's not talk about that. And they move on. The Inner Circle will continue to be together, so good for them. FTR is interviewed by Alex Marvez. Tully says he wasn't there last time they lost. They're a team. Now we're going to be a unit. We're going to be together. Everybody's going to be happy, and they're back in the title hunt. So good luck, dudes. You got a long road ahead of you. Eddie Kingston, Butcher and Blade with the Bunny versus the Lucha Bros. And the man from Hearn, Texas, Lance Archer. I've been through Hearn, Texas a lot of times back in the day when I lived in Texas. They had this restaurant called Johnny Reb's. Ooh, it was good. They had some good hamburgers, man. Penta gets put through a table and gets carried out. Lance looked great, but Blade gets the pin. I feel like Blade has gotten quite a few pins. He made the cut, if you will. Bunny hops in the ring, which always makes me laugh because she's a bunny. Lance Archer attacks everyone. Lance stands tall as the Kingston crew are on the outside. Backstage, Jade and Nyla are attacking Red Velvet. Chaos aplenty. I think it's not necessary to have Vicky and Nyla with Jade. I think Jade could be on her own, doing her own thing. Really, it makes more sense to me. If she's so bad, if she's so better than everybody, then I feel like she should be on her own, be alone. I understand. She has Shaq. Hey, you know what? You don't need these other people. Seriously. Abaddon versus a trepidatious Tasha Page here. Abaddon wins fairly quickly, but continues the assault after the bell. I love Abaddon. She looks great. Love the blood, all this. Sheeta comes down. She's got a kendo stick in her hand, and she whacks Abaddon in the face. This feud is continuing here. And Sheeta helps to miss Price to the back as Abaddon does the Undertaker rise. So I thought, oh, she's doing the Undertaker thing. And then I thought, the Undertaker's retired. I guess you can rip it off. Hey, what are you going to do? You know, somebody's going to rip it off. You might as well be the one. Okay, the Inner Circle, boys, yeah, they are joining ringside. Yes, for the MJF and Cassidy match. They're going to be doing that. That's what they're going to be doing later here tonight. But first, it's Omega. He lands in a helicopter with Don Callis, avoids an interview, and got two more broom dancers as he comes down to the ring. Loved all that entrance. Thought that was great. Makes him look even more awesome, like he's a big deal. He's the champion. Don's on the microphone, which is fantastic. He did a great job on Impact. And he is planning on breaking paradigms. Yeah, I like that little dig right there, John Moxley. And yeah, Don is the one. He's the mastermind, him and Kenny Omega. He's the one, those two guys together. They had a long-term plan. Him and Jericho in the Tokyo Dome, Don and Kenny Omega, they made it happen. And Omega didn't beg to be in AEW. They had a plan. And that's fantastic. And yeah, he says that John doesn't have the brain that they do. Omega is plotting. Don says some people make matches, some people make money, but Don makes history. So yeah, he's essentially the Paul Heyman here in this little group. And I think it's fantastic. It's great. Don Callis is so good on the microphone. And he really, you know, it's one thing like as a manager that he does really well is he sets the stage, he sets the vibe, he sets the feeling for the environment. And man, when Don comes in, boy, he cleans out the room. And then Omega just sweeps in there and does his thing, and it works perfectly. So I'm a big fan of this. I'm a big fan of what they're doing with Kenny Omega. Like, they're surprising me. This is a great show. Yeah, and Shane Free in the chat, I love tonight as well. This was a great show. And now we're getting to the main event. So let's wrap this thing up. The Dynamite Diamond Ring match right here. MJF won it last year. He's been ringing that thing around in the ring. He's been wearing it in the ring. He's the ring man, but not the other ring man, you know, like the ring man that Miro and Kip Sabian. No, none of that. Don't think about that until, well, maybe in a second. Because that actually does play in, as a matter of fact. It is MJF versus Orange Cassidy. MJF has got the Inner Circle. Cassidy's got his friends. Cassidy Didn't even get a chance to take his elbow pads off as he starts getting attacked by MJF. MJF chokes Cassidy with his own best-selling T-shirt. My goodness. And MJF, overpowering. He begins pretending his hands are in his pockets, even though he's wearing tights, and starts kicking Orange around, just disrespecting the man. And Jericho getting cheap shots on the outside while the referee is distracted. Now, the good guys come down to the ring because they're probably thinking, my goodness, I'm tired of seeing all of this chicanery down here at ringside. There's some cheating going on here, and I'm going to prevent this from happening. And they come down. Cassie did it as a dive on the outside to gain some momentum, but the heat seeker pile driver from MJF. MJF gets the bat as the ref is distracted, and MJF, he's going to act like he got hit. You know, they're going to do like the Eddie Guerrero thing or whatever and pretend like he got hit. MJF doesn't work. But then Cassidy, he puts his hands in his pockets and falls down, letting the referee think that MJF, with the bat in his hands now, actually swung at Orange Cassidy. However, the referee didn't have enough evidence, even though MJF was sus. He didn't yeet him out of there yet. So we got a near fall by Orange Cassidy, Orange Punch, only 2, and the match pretty much breaks down at this point. We got Miro coming down to the ring, callback, to knock out Orange. MJF gets the pinfall and wins the Dynamite Diamond Ring for the second time, for the second year in a row. And Miro tosses a man off stage. Holy crap. Oh my goodness. What are they doing? That poor man. But this entire show, from start to finish, was so solid. The matches were good. The segments were good. The interviews were good. We got information. We got build. We got intrigue. We got surprises. I mean, what more could you want? And they even mentioned that Snoop Dogg is going to be on an upcoming episode of Dynamite. So that's interesting as well. So, hey, AEW, man, I got to give them their props. The environment feels good. The crowd, the look of it, the arena is very vibrant. You know, when I watched Impact, I thought, ooh, it seems a little empty. It's just a void. It's just a wrestling ring, which, you know, I understand a lot of people are cool with that. You know, NWA, I don't have a problem with that necessarily, but if I got to choose which one I like better, ooh, I like that vibe that they got going on at AEW. So, hey, thank you guys so much for watching. This was a very good episode of Dynamite, a great way to catch up from last week, to follow up from last week. So I'm very interested to see what the numbers look like. We saw a huge spike of viewership from last week. Indeed, we did. So are we going to see that again here on this episode? I sure hope so. As they go towards the end of 2020, not a lot of great things, quite honestly, going on in 2020 in a lot of different ways. But AEW's like, nah, man, don't even worry about it. We got you. Hey, I got you. Stay safe. And I will catch you guys next time.